Hello everybody and welcome to the Mega Gamecast. My name is Ryan Shepard and with me today I have Cy Cuddy.
Hey, what's up everyone?
And Drew LaPointe.
Hey, what's going on, people?
How's everybody doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all right, Ryan. Just got off of a long day of work and hit some major traffic on the pike today.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, you don't even know the half of it.
That shows Cy will persevere for the sake of the podcast.
Yeah, he showed up and he's a real trooper for that. Thank you, Cy.
Hey, anytime, guys. I mean, hey, I work up at 6, get out of work at 5. I'm a trooper, man. I'm a survivor.
Yeah. Cool. Happy to have you here with us, brother.
All right, so this is our first episode. Very first episode. How's everybody feeling about that?
Dude, I'm pretty damn excited.
Excited? All right.
I'm loving it.
Before we start, I just want to give a shout out to Omniversal Gamers for giving us a platform, especially Stephanie Evans.
The founder.
The founder, indeed. And I hope all you guys enjoy what we're about to do here. We're going to start out this episode just kind of giving a overview of what kind of gamers we are, where we started, and maybe where we're going. Cy, if you want to start us off, where did it all begin for you?
Well, let's see, Ryan. My first video game experience, I believe I was about 5 or 6 years old. It was on a Super NES. I always played at my grandmother's house, and it was Super Mario. That introduced me to the entire world of gaming. I just had a blast, and I just loved going to my grandmother's house and never wanted to leave. I just had a blast just playing Mario, and it was just fun, just jumping up on all the bad guys and just getting through those levels. I mean, I didn't win much, but it didn't matter because I just had such a fun experience, and I was hooked, and I was drawn in. And basically, over a couple of years later, my parents actually got me a Super NES, as of my own, yes. So cool. After that, I played all the Mario games. I played Donkey Kong. Games such as that. My next game system after that, I would say, would be a Game Boy, which again played the Mario games. I played Kirby, games such as that. Then I evolved to the N64, which again first game actually wasn't Mario 64. Believe it or not, it was Star Wars Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, okay.
Which again,
that's a good game. I remember that game.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, and again, I was a Star Wars geek beforehand, so just playing a game like that was just mind-boggling to me.
If you go back to it now, there's a little jank there. It's a little messy, but it was back then. You just didn't even.
Well, back then, there was nothing else.
That was the greatest thing. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you not only played as this as a third-person character, or not. I wouldn't say third. No, I would say third.
Yeah, you were in
third and
person.
first person.
Yeah.
If you see the whole character, it's third person.
I mean, you got to see the whole character, and it's definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you got to fly the snow speeders. Yeah. You got to fly. What was it? What the hell was the spaceship called?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm ashamed. I should be. But you played as Dash Rendar.
Yep.
You basically were between.
I remember fighting.
You were basically between
AT-STs.
Battle of the Hoth, the snow
crazy.
speeders, and you were right before Return of the Jedi, where you're basically trying to A, help find Han Solo, and B, find out who's trying to assassinate Luke, and you just get this whole evil conspiracy that's before the Empire, but that's that's beside the point.
Yeah, no.
One game I actually didn't play, believe it or not, until much later was GoldenEye, which is shocking because that was the first-person shooter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Still widely considered.
Shooter,
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, and again, it's mostly because my parents were not exactly fond, which is an understatement, of those type of games, especially for someone my age.
you were young and impressionable.
Yeah, video games have always had this media, I don't know, an image in the media that have scared parents for years.
What do you mean? They still do.
Well, and then it's his parents' decision to make that.
And to be clear, I have played it, but it was when my cousin came over, and every time they played, they said that they had to turn paintball mode on.
Yeah, not necessarily that, but that was the same thing with me. I never had an N64, but I played a lot of GoldenEye on my cousin's Nintendo 64. I'd go over his house, and we'd play multiplayer. We'd play we'd play everything. The whole package was so great.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was a movie tie-in game, so I don't even know if it was. I don't think it was even supposed to be as great as it was. You know what I mean?
It's probably the pinnacle of movie tie-in games, and it's like way back then.
And it probably still is. I can only think of a handful of movie tie-in games that are that good.
I don't think anything else has really been that successful directly movie tie-in.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right. The only thing I can even think of that's even close might be Chronicles of Riddick, and that didn't even really follow the movie, but it was a very good game.
The Escape from Butcher's Bay, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that had a great reception when it came out.
Yeah, there's some gems out there. It's just
it's
so
rare.
Where did you go after Nintendo, Si?
I went to my next system was an Xbox, and that was the first system I ever bought. Believe it or not.
OG Xbox.
OG Xbox, my friend. First game I ever bought was GTA. I want to say GTA 3 was the first game I got on that. Then it was some sports games. I got Vice City, and I stuck with that. And then
no Halo.
I got Halo, but believe it or not, it was more so my brothers who played it than me.
Oh, okay.
I was actually for some reason
I don't think you could buy an Xbox without getting Halo.
Right.
I am the exception.
Yeah.
I am the exception of that. Believe it or not, I for some reason I just never got in. It's the same with Gears of War. For some reason, it's a game I should have gotten into, but I think maybe it's because it was more an online play, which I never really did. I was not really an online player until my until my mid-20s, I want to say.
I feel like people get that perception of those games, but they both have a pretty extensive single player.
No, they do.
Well, Halo didn't have any online multiplayer.
That is true. It wasn't until Halo 2, correct?
Yeah, Halo 2 was the first one that had. So all the multiplayer in the Halo Combat Evolved was local, split screen stuff like you do.
Got you. And I think maybe that's one of the things because when I got it, I believe Halo 1 was already released and might have been a little old. Halo 2 was just coming out.
Yeah, Halo 2. They were both on the original Xbox.
Yeah, and I was a high school student, so I didn't have a lot of cash on me. So
yeah, totally. I mean.
Right. So after that, it was an Xbox 360, and I played that all through I want to say all through most of my college years. Mm-hmm. Again, probably one of my favorite systems, and I still love it today. I don't play it anymore because I got the Red Ring of Death. And
oh man!
Actually, I got it twice, not on the same system, obviously, but twice.
Mm-hmm. See, they eventually came out with a version that was supposedly that was fixed.
That was a problem with the early.
Oh yeah, trust me, that's part of the reason why I never got one. I went with PS3.
And to be clear, when I worked at Circuit City, as you people may remember, when we shut down the doors, I actually purchased that Xbox system, but that was made after that whole correction happened. Mm-hmm. So that happened, and then after a few years on the 360, I decided to say...
just bring up... We spent a lot of time on Rock Band and Guitar Hero on his 360.
Oh yes,
he had the whole setup.
All the instruments.
Some people form garage bands. Me, Drew, and a couple of our friends formed our own rock garage band. Yeah, and it's actually interesting because when I was playing that, I was actually learning guitar as a college course. So. And again, I'll explain the story later, but we had Drew singing on the mic, me playing the bass or the guitar.
Oh man, I'd love to hear Drew sing.
Oh, trust me, it is like hearing the angel Gabriel.
Oh wow!
For the first time.
I can imagine that.
It's a mixture between Fergie and Jesus.
So what else did you have on the 360?
Oh, 360. I had all the sports games. I played basically the Maddens, the 2Ks.
Yeah.
Not so much baseball because those systems sucked.
Well.
Those games suck. Excuse me.
Yeah, there isn't. You're hard pressed to find a good baseball game.
Yep. That did change, and I'll get into that in a moment. But I also played a lot of the popular games. I played all the Hitman games.
Sure.
I played I played Deus Ex. I played Red Dead Redemption. The Grand Theft Auto 4. Mm-hmm. So overall, a few others I can't think of at the moment.
Call of Duty.
But, it was a huge.
Yes. Yeah, I have some of the Call of Duties. Black Ops is probably my favorite. The first one, not the cheesy second one.
It was a huge, long generation.
Yeah, there's so many games.
Yeah, you had the entirety of the Mass Effect trilogy just on that generation.
I want to say something. I am a huge fan of the Mass Effect trilogy, believe it or not. Huge. I love it. I'm cautiously pessimistic about the next one based on a few things of what I heard.
Oh, okay.
But you know.
I'm actually pretty excited about the next one.
But I love the story. I love Commander Shepard. And I can't wait. And I'm also a big fan of the Fallout series. Again, another Xbox game that I played, and I cannot wait for the Fallout 4.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say I later switched to a PS3. One of the reasons I did that was because there are no good baseball games on Xbox 360. Another reason was The Last of Us came out a few months after that, and I just kept hearing great things about it, and it sounded like a fantastic story. And another reason is just because a lot of my other friends had a PS3, so I'm just like,
sure.
You know what? Why not join the fad? So I decided to go on eBay, and it became my first major purchase on that website.
Oh, okay. So you bought a used one.
I did. I bought a refurbished one, and it worked, and it still works magnificently today. And then after that, a few months after its release, I got a PS4. Again, still a great purchase. And basically I got that just because me and my brother just wanted to move up to the next system. So we both put in a little bit of money, and we decided to get the PS4 just because we thought we were ready to do it.
Sure.
To roll with it.
What'd you pick up on the PS4?
Well, let's see. The games I currently have on PS4 include, they included the sports games, so Madden and all of them. I did get The Last of Us Remastered just because I liked it so much. GTA 5, which was a Christmas gift from Drew. Thank you for that, by the way. I also got also the other popular games. You know, I got Destiny,
sure.
Which I have mediocre things to say about that. Alien Isolation.
Sure. How did you like Alien?
Park. I'm sorry?
How did you like Alien?
Alien Isolation, it was very scary, and it's mostly and very unique in a way that you're spending most of the game just it's basically all stealth.
Yeah. There's
you're
like
hiding.
Really no combat in it, right?
Yeah. Well, there is some combat.
Guns.
You do get
guns.
Sure,
yeah.
But it's not the emphasis. It's
not.
a
lot of it's hiding from the alien.
Yeah,
and you just know one wrong move and you could be toast.
Cat and mouse kind of situation.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which more games really should try like that.
Sure, yeah, I think
make you feel powerless. Like there's not enough out there these days that make you feel like vulnerable.
Right. Sure. Right, it is. And even if you do get a gun, your ammo is severely limited, so you have to really pick your shots. Other than that...
You have Far Cry too, don't you?
I do. 4. I have Far Cry 4. Assassin's Creed. I did like Far Cry 4. It was not as good as Far Cry 3, which was my first Far Cry that I played. Still a quality game. Still enjoyed it. But I will say that I was somewhat let down with it. I mean, it was still highly enjoyable, but I just enjoyed Far Cry 3 a lot better.
Yeah, I'm a little torn between 3 and 4. I think 3 was cool because it did all that stuff the first time through. Like it set that template for a game, which I think really worked out in 4. But at the same time with 4, I felt like it ended up turning into a checklist.
It did.
I mean, literally, you had a checklist on the menu, and it's like,
no, I absolutely
complete these
agree.
things, and you're done.
See, Far Cry 3 is very, it's checklists too, but like they did a better job blending it all together.
It didn't feel like as obvious as a checklist in Far Cry 3.
Because it worked for 3, but then when they came out with 4, like granted, it's a brand new map and everything, but it's.
Yeah,
it's the exact same
I think they did a
template.
better job with the story in 4.
You think so?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think so. I really didn't think so.
I felt like the Far Cry 3 story broke down partway through.
Yeah, after Vaz got killed.
Yeah, maybe around there. But then it just seemed like it just dragged on. Like they went to that last island, and I don't really remember much of it at all.
Yeah, because that villain, like after Voss is down, then you end up going after his boss. I don't even remember his name right now.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Yeah, because everyone remembers Voss. Voss is on the front cover, but I feel like people don't even remember that there's a whole other half of the game.
I'm never going to forget Voss, and I'm never going to forget Pagan Min.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Well, but for different reasons. You're not gonna forget Voss because Voss was just sadistic. He was crazy. He was evil. Pagan Min was extremely flamboyant. I mean, he comes out in like this pink suit.
Sure. Yeah.
His flock of eagles style haircut.
Sure.
Dude, just Troy Baker at his finest again. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's silly. Like when I found out that was Troy Baker, I'm like, wow.
Dude, you'd be surprised how much Troy Baker does these days. Like it's crazy.
He's one of the most popular voice actors in gaming.
Him and Norland North, both those guys.
Yeah, I always get them confused. Now, Norland North is the one that's re-recording all of Dinklage's lines in Destiny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Norland North is Nathan Drake. Like that's but he's a lot of other.
Okay.
He's the Penguin in Batman too. So like he does a lot of different stuff. Anyway.
Okay. So does that wrap you up, Si?
It pretty much wraps me up, my friend.
Based on that, what's your biggest game coming out that you're looking forward to?
Well, my biggest game coming out, I would say it is Fallout 4.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited because I have not seen a new Fallout game in years. I'm excited that it takes place in Boston.
Sure.
And I'm just a fan of that type of post-apocalyptic world that shows that you need survival. You have to put your survival skills to use, your brains to use, and there's just so much you can do. I mean, we're already hearing reports that it's going to go on for what did they say, like over 400 hours?
Yeah, I think
complete the game.
I think something came out that some guy said that I've been playing this game for 400 hours and I haven't seen everything yet.
Yeah.
So what that
crazy.
Actually translates to is, you never know. I mean, that could be he looking in every nook and cranny, checking every single container.
Little rock.
But, that's still a lot of
I'll say.
A lot of bang for your buck, that's for sure.
Oh, I'll say. I mean, you get that game, I'm going to be all set for months on end. So.
Sure.
So here's the big things, and I'm hoping that I'm just hoping it goes well, because otherwise I'll be extremely disappointed. But I have very high hopes for it.
Cool. All right, Drew, what's your gaming history?
All right. I don't know. I'll try to, because I can ramble a little bit, so I'm going to try to cut this brief as I can.
Yeah, say whatever you want to say.
Let's see. My first memory, and I know I actually did play it, but first memory, we had a hand-me-down Atari 7800, I believe.
Wow.
Nice.
We had like a boxing game. We had Tetris, a few other asteroids. I don't know. Some funny, goofy little Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man, like cool little things like that. But like, that was like 3-4 years old, so kind of vague memories. But 5th birthday, like I was given a regular NES, and that was kind of my first like, whoa, video games, look at these. And I remember Super Mario Brothers 3 was packed in with the console, so that was probably
that was a good one.
Yeah, dude, like
good pack-in.
Yeah, that was.
Pack-ins are coming back.
Yeah,
Pack-ins went away for a long time, and now they're coming back.
Yeah, well, pack-ins help, dude. Like,
definitely.
It helps sell the console, and it's something to put on the box.
Absolutely.
And like that was definitely the game to put on there. I think I got that and Ghosts and Goblins, I believe, which. If anyone has ever played any of those series, some of the hardest games ever. But I remember also, I don't know, the NES, I don't know if it was mine particularly or if that was just a problem in general. Like, blowing on cartridges and whether that thing actually wanted to work or not was always,
a mystery. You never knew going in.
Like, I'd go down the street and rent some games and, like, let's hope. But, but yeah, no, I had some pretty fun memories, but I only had that for like a year. 6th birthday, I got the Super NES with some, I remember Ninja Turtles in Time, and I got the Super Ghosts and Goblins, and let's see, there were so many games on that though, like my first Street Fighter experience, my first Mortal Kombat series. Let's see, I kind of missed the RPGs of that era when I was younger, which is a little disappointing. Let's see, what else? After that, like the family owned a Super NES by itself for a long time, but my uncle moved in with me, older, and he introduced me to the PlayStation first, and that's where I I believe I think the first Resident Evil I saw was Resident Evil 2, which was pretty awesome at the time. Very scary, atmospheric.
We're getting a
And
remake.
We are getting a remake, dude. Like, you can say what you want about remakes, but games like that. But
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an old game that
yeah,
it can be hard to play right now. So
yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean,
it's good to get it on a new console.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. They put that on the N64 too, which to me is crazy. They were able to fit that on the cartridge.
Oh yeah, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Because I guess it was like the whole thing. Because I think Resident Evil 2 was 2 discs on the PS1, if I'm not mistaken. But let's see what else. Crash Bandicoot, the original.
Oh, of course.
That was like PlayStation's Mario, and that's always how I looked at it. Or Donkey Kong, and that was cool. Let's see. That's where I first saw a lot of the sports games too, like Madden. Well, I did play some Madden on the old Super NES, but let's see. Yeah, NFL Game Day, NBA Live, NBA Shootout, all that fun stuff. Pretty good times.
Cool.
Let's see. Yeah, wrestling games too, back when it was the WWF era. So, like, I know N64 got cool things like No Mercy and a few others, but yeah, PlayStation, that's when the SmackDown games started, and that's the only wrestling franchise still going at the moment. Well, I mean, it's the same developers and stuff. Let's see. My first console I guess, that it was actually my own. I remember I ended up getting a Dreamcast after it had already been, like, dropped, abandoned. It was within that same year, so they dropped down to, like, $100.
Oh, might as well grab it.
Yeah, might as well grab it, and so, let's see. Yeah, so I never owned a Genesis. I was a Super NES guy, but yeah, I was able to play Genesis later on, experience Sonic, but my first, like, actual good Sonic game was on the Dreamcast, the original Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2. That's where I first saw Shenmue, and I was like 14 when I first played that. Like, it's just hard to kind of like explain like how it was then. Nostalgia is a powerful thing. So,
Sure.
But that's when I first experienced Shenmue.
Okay.
A few others.
And that was a big game for you.
Yep, definitely. And I'm sure there's others that I'll mention in future podcasts. Like I said, I don't want to drag it out too long. The first, I said he bought a Xbox as his first one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember everyone around me, like, because we were like, I think we were in high school by this point, or at least pretty damn close. There was the 3 big dogs that were out. You had the PS2, which everyone around me had, I swear, at the time. But I swear I bought a GameCube in defiance, just because like everyone had like Xboxes or PlayStations, and I was like, dude, come on. And luckily, I was able to experience Resident Evil 4 when it first came out on the GameCube. And
oh yeah, that was
like, I don't know. I don't think it was the first, but it did revolutionize the whole over-the-shoulder third person.
Oh sure, it was doing things that other games weren't. And
Yeah,
especially for them to take a risk on Resident Evil like that.
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah, on a Nintendo. Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah. I mean, on a Nintendo console, because it's like
because they bought the rights
game
for
on
a
the
short
GameCube.
time.
I thought this was for kids.
Yeah, because I mean, that was its issue. I mean, the way they made that thing look, it did look like a lunchbox with a handle.
Sure, yeah.
And they didn't have a DVD. Like, they didn't have like and that's been Nintendo's issue since like probably after the N64. They just they're in their own little world, and they don't really care about like keeping up with what the other guys are doing.
But I think the reason for that is that they're applying more to like a family-friendly console. They want to approach that family section. They want games that the whole family can enjoy. Because I mean, again, like with my parents, and I'm assuming Ryan's parents, they don't really want a lot of games where the main characters have guns and they shoot them up. They want little violence with no blood. They want cartoonish violence. I mean, keep in mind there are some exceptions. I mean, one of the Resident Evil, was an exclusive for the GameCube, if I recall
at the time,
correctly.
Yeah, at the time. Now it's on just about everything.
It's about everything, yeah. Well, that's a whole different controversy that ensued out that, but so I played some cool GameCube games. Like
Did you ever do Metroid Prime?
Dude, I was bought Metroid Prime at the time, and like, kind of like size beef with Halo. It was like the same thing, but I only played it for a bit, and I really didn't give it a chance like I should have. And if I do get the chance to get it back into that series, I'd really like to.
There's really nothing like Metroid Prime.
Yeah, well, the originals.
Yeah.
So you're saying, yeah.
They're
but I mean, from
they're
what I
first-person
understand,
shooters only because they are in a first-person perspective. They're way more than just like Halo, where you're just shooting everything up.
Well, yeah, no, because that's a lot, just as much of a puzzler as it is a shooter.
Yep.
So, but yeah, and I never really, but yeah, so I like you guys, I started with Mario's and stuff, but I never really stuck with Mario's. That wasn't really my cup of tea fully. And I didn't mention Donkey Kong Country. That was always the biggest one on Super NES.
Sure.
But yeah, so moving on to the 7th gen, that I'm sure all of us, we have the widest memory, because, that's the most recent. I ended up getting, well, actually, I did get a PS2, late in life, and that's where I first played Yakuza, that people don't really know about, but that's kind of a spiritual successor to Shenmue. I was big in these Japanese games, and, but I ended up reading that it was going to be an exclusive on PS3. So kind of that on top of the whole Red Ring of Death that all my friends were getting with the Xbox 360s. I was like, dude, I'm getting a PlayStation, again in defiance. But now looking back, I'm kind of glad that I did. Because PS3 had a lot of amazing exclusives, as did PS2, which I'm lucky that I was able to get some of those remasters of the PS2 era that I missed, like the God of Wars series.
Sure.
Highly recommended. Maybe a little overrated, but I definitely recommend it. I don't know. People in the group and people who've talked to me about games, everyone knows I'm a Naughty Dog fanboy, especially from the recent ones, the Uncharted series and Last of Us. I found those on the PS3. Like I said, Red Dead Redemption, the GTAs. Let's see. The newest Tomb Raider was great. Both the BioShock series, awesome.
Excellent series.
It was a big generation last year.
Yeah, between the three of us, we couldn't even get close to
Covering
getting the width of what's really out there. But
yeah.
So I don't know. I think I'm gonna stop with that for now, and as we move forward, we'll.
So what are you most looking forward to?
Right now. Probably all in all, it's definitely Uncharted 4. I'm looking forward to the most, but
sure.
The new Tomb Raider looks great. Even the new ones that Microsoft just announced, like Quantum Break and Scalebound, both look pretty cool. So, there's quite a few. The Metal Gear Solid looks great. Oh yeah, that was another thing. I first saw and played Metal Gear Solid, the first one on the PS1, back in '98, because my uncle had the PS1. That was pretty mind blowing at the time.
Oh yeah, that
that kind of set the way for the future of what third person stealth and action games.
You'd really seen nothing like it before.
Yeah, cinematic storytelling.
Some would say you haven't seen anything like it since.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. Yeah. Oh man, Raiden ruined it. That's why.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Wasn't that your first one, Ryan? The second one? Is that what you said?
Yeah. That was my. The first Metal Gear I had, and I hadn't really. In a way, that was probably good because I didn't have an assumption leading into it that I was going to play as somebody like Solid Snake or anything like that. So when I played as Raiden, I was like,
oh man, that was a bold. Yeah, you probably thought that was awesome at how they did it, because I've heard in retrospect the way they did the storytelling was still good.
Oh yeah,
and Raiden ended up becoming a pretty cool character by the end.
In terms of I guess complexity of story, that's probably the most complex, just because of the way that the twists and the way that it delivers it and everything like that. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 4 had tons of story in it, but it was just kind of wrapping everything up.
Yep.
All right, so now I'll go on to my gaming history. I started playing on the NES. Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt. I do remember playing some Metroid, not knowing any idea what I was doing. And I remember watching my brother play a lot because it was his NES that I'd play on, and that was we've kind of come back around with watching other people play video games with Twitch and YouTube and stuff like that.
PewDiePie.
Yeah, and so I definitely remember that, and I also remember playing Top Gun on the NES.
That was really difficult, wasn't it?
Ooh.
Yeah, playing the first mission over and over and over again, and never being able to complete it because I couldn't land. But that didn't stop me. I just kept doing it.
See, sometimes I wonder if us having that experience has made us better gamers overall or worse.
Yeah, I don't know. Looking back on it, it's like, why did I keep doing it?
Yeah.
Why did I keep doing that?
Well, that's all we had, man. Like,
there were other games I could have played, but whatever. I don't remember my mentality back then. The next thing after the NES was Sega Genesis.
Yes.
Sega guy.
Yeah. Well.
None of us had a choice of what we had.
As far as a Sega guy gets you.
Were you a Sonic fan?
Yeah, I like Sonic. I played crap ton of Sonic too. I remember taking the Sega. It was the small one. It wasn't the original one. It was the smaller one.
The little one, yeah.
Yeah, that I'd take it to like my grandparents' house over summer vacation because she'd watch me.
Yep.
And I'd plug it in and I'd just play all day.
3 buttons? Remember those 3 buttons?
Yeah, 3 buttons. And I think I had I didn't have the original controller. I had someone made a smaller controller.
Oh, yeah.
That was, because the Sega Genesis controller was pretty big, especially if you're little. It was a pretty big controller to hold. But, so I played a lot of Sonic too. And I played the Strike games, Desert Strike and Jungle Strike.
Nice.
If you're not familiar with those, you're a helicopter and you fly around and you're just blowing stuff up. You had a winch. You can pick people up. You can pick ammo up. You can drop them off. It was for a Sega Genesis. There was a lot going on there.
Yeah.
That was probably it that I can really remember on the Sega Genesis.
No Streets of Rage.
No.
That. I'm just trying to think.
Was Battletoads?
Actually, yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or was that an NES? I don't know. I might have.
You guys probably remember Parsco Video down Street, right?
Absolutely. I used to rent there all the time.
Yeah, it was like homegrown Blockbuster. It was just a guy, and he had a bunch of videotapes and movies and games there. I remember going down there and renting Desert Strike a bunch, having my mom rent Desert Strike a bunch, Jungle Strike, and I think I remember renting Battletoads, and it was like one of those games that I'd keep renting over and over again, even though I couldn't get past the second level.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
it was fun.
It was a tough game.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Well, it's the same with like for me with Mario, Super Mario SNES. I mean, it was. Again, you just enjoyed the experience. You didn't care how many times you lost. You just kept playing and playing it.
That was something that definitely stuck into my mind, especially with Rare Replay coming out. I remember not having the greatest memories of Battletoads. So
hey, just go on YouTube and take a stroll down memory lane, my friend.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I have the game.
Yeah, you have.
I've already had a stroll down. Yeah. It's.
Do they let you save now when you want?
Yeah, it does. It does let you save. It actually the Rare Replay is actually pretty good. It actually lets you rewind.
Oh, really?
Games. So if you screw up, you can actually rewind to a certain amount and pick up where you left off.
That's good that's good fan service.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So it's like it's like what you expect from a modern emulator from those kinds of platforms.
Sure.
Dude, I really might pick up an Xbox One first. It's very possible.
Yeah, I mean, Rare Replay is definitely great. I mean, 30 games for $30, hard to beat. So then after that, I never had a Nintendo 64, like I was saying when Sai was talking.
Yeah, I never did either. I meant to say that. But.
My cousins had an N64, and just like the Sega, when I went over their house to be babysat or whatever, me and my cousins would play GoldenEye, and that may have been the only game I remember playing on that.
None of the Marios or Zeldas?
Maybe Mario 64. Mario 64 is a hard game to play if you're young, because there's a lot of the controls were, especially by today's standards, were a little flaky, and
see, that was
so I would probably play that a little bit and then get sick of it because I didn't really know what to do.
Free roam camera? Like, wasn't
Yeah,
there
you
one on the
could-
first that was like actually
Yeah,
let
you could move it around
A little bit,
with
yeah.
with the yellow C buttons on the
yeah,
Nintendo 64
that-
controller. Yeah. But it was
Dude, I
definitely
give you guys credit because that's the one controller. Like, people seem to love it in retrospect. That's the one controller I never had the most experience with, but it always
it was
kind of
the
confused
thing.
me.
The thing about everything up to, in my opinion, the Wii remote and the gamepad, Nintendo's controllers were perfectly suited for their console.
I would agree
And the
with
games
that.
that were on it, like the games like something like Metroid Prime, like we mentioned
Yeah.
before, wouldn't work on pretty much any other controller because
yeah.
the controls are so finely tuned for
Yeah.
that GameCube controller.
That's how that's how Nintendo is though. That's what I respect about them.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't get them where it needs to get
No,
them.
I know. Like you just gotta respect there. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You can respect it, but I just remember taking a lot of practice to actually get that N64 controller right, because you had to have the right handles, because it had those three. It had three separate handles.
Handles coming out of it, and most of the time you just played with the center one and the right one.
Yeah, with the analog stick. And
Yeah.
what's even more interesting is the fact that it was my first system where it was like you could see the games in 360 vision, so you can spin around, see the graphics.
3D. That was when 3D was coming into.
Exactly, and again, that's another whole new learning experience. So it did take some time for me to.
They must have partially inspired Sony to end up putting those DualShock joysticks on their controller. So the PS1, I don't know if you guys remember when the PS1 was first out, those first 2-3 years maybe, it was just a controller with a D-pad.
D-pad and the face buttons.
I mean, just imagine the PlayStation without the D-pad.
Imagine gaming in general without the analog stick.
Oh yeah, dude. When those first came out, I'm like, I'm never going to use these.
Yeah.
I love the D-pad, and then it's like, no, I can't imagine trying to go back to the D-pads. It's tough.
Yeah. So some games I actually have noticed.
But I've noticed fighting games or
okay,
something like that.
People like to do fighting games. I'm not really into fighting games, so I don't know about that. But so GoldenEye's the only one that at the time I remember playing on the N64. That was pretty big because that introduced me to first-person shooters, and around the same time I ended up playing Half-Life.
Oh,
and
nice.
Quake 2 on the PC. Back then I had no idea what a good PC was, so I don't know if it was a good PC or not, but I actually had a joystick, a flight stick, that I plugged into the PC, and that's how I played all those games.
And it worked, yeah?
Yeah, it worked great.
But did you have to still use a keyboard to shoot?
No, there was like a trigger on the joystick,
Right.
on the flight stick, and there was a bunch of buttons on it, and you have to use the keyboard for some stuff. Now you have to use a mouse and keyboard to navigate menus and stuff like that, but to actually play it, my experience with first-person shooters on a PC wasn't the traditional WASD keys and a mouse.
Yeah.
It was actually on a joystick.
That's cool.
And that totally got me into first-person shooters. So like I said, that was all I really played on the N64. And then the next console I had was an original Xbox.
Both you guys. It's funny.
Yeah, and obviously Halo. I played. That was the first game I had, and really the only game I remember very much on that console. I do remember playing Mercenaries, which is a fantastic game. If you haven't experienced what Mercenaries has to offer, I suggest you at least look up what that game did. I mean, you could blow up every building in that game, and to have that kind of destructibility on that back then was crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
I'm looking it up right now.
That's one of those games that I wish they'd remake or they'd re-release or something like that, and make a new one, because they did make a second one, but it bombed pretty bad. It wasn't that great.
Sales-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that and it wasn't that great of a game. As a follow-up to that, it was it ended up being pretty limited.
Oh, what, the sequel?
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually limited, and it's this rare situation where the sequel is more limited than the original.
Yeah, that happens.
Interesting.
So yeah, that was that. I did have a PlayStation 2 for a while. when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out.
Yeah, I was gonna say everyone experienced that on either the Xbox or PS2.
Yeah, I
believe.
didn't experience it on the Xbox. Mine was I specifically got a PlayStation 2 for
Yeah.
it.
Well, PlayStation had them like for at least a year.
Yeah, it
least,
came out
yeah.
definitely came out first on PlayStation. I remember doing Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, which also came out on that, and that's what I played on those mostly. And then I would have gone to the Xbox 360 when that came out.
So neither of you guys played San Andreas? Like you guys?
Oh
both,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
of
You
course
guys,
I
both,
played.
you guys
Yeah.
both mentioned 3 and Vice City, but
Oh, you
neither of you
kidding?
said.
No, I-
of course I
San
played
Andreas was the best
played,
one. San Andreas was the
Okay.
best one of the three.
Really? You really think San Andreas was the best one?
I believe so, yeah. It was the biggest world. You had the most you could do in it. I just remember playing that way more than the other two.
Do you remember though? Or when I speak to people about GTA, I hear mixed things, and one of the main criticisms is that the storyline is actually worse, or one of the worst amongst the GTAs, and I'll explain
In
that
San Andreas?
In San Andreas.
Oh, well, see,
Yeah, I hear the opposite.
at that.
I
Well,
hear
no, when I was playing those games, I didn't really care too much about the story. It was all about.
It was about the.
It was all about
sandbox.
getting guns. All about just blowing stuff up. I remember in college trading off with my roommate.
Oh, sure.
We'd die and then we'd hand the controller off and they'd play until they died and just keep going back. So the story was like, I don't know if I've ever even
Well,
finished
the story was second nature, and I agree.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty deep. I don't know.
It was like corrupt cops and stuff.
Yeah, you dealt with corrupt cops,
I mean,
and again,
it's
a lot of that was
so-
inspired. A lot of that was inspired, and again, GTA's are generally inspired, but this one was inspired by late 1980s, early 1990s,
90s, yeah.
LA, LA cops, specifically in the Compton area,
Gang
and
life.
well, essentially, yes, gang
Yeah,
life, and they
that
took a
was-
lot of that from and again, the characters that you see there, a lot of them look like rappers from
it was
NWA.
very Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Menace to Society.
And you gotta think.
Because it was that. Yeah, that took
Right.
a lot of inspiration from that.
Right, and the best part was, you got 3 separate cities. You got Los Angeles, you got San Francisco, and you got Las Vegas, basically.
Yep.
Or at least their counterpart.
Yeah,
versions.
all in the GTA style.
And again, you could gamble. You could get your CJ tattoos, different haircuts. You can make him fat.
Fat
you
or
could,
skinny.
You could,
you could
buff him up.
you could exercise and get muscles and
Yeah,
everything like
they
that.
really put some
That didn't have any
hardcore-
effect on gameplay though, right?
You know
No,
what? I
it
heard if you let
didn't.
him get too out of weight, like
He starts moving
he would,
slow.
He would
He
suck.
starts moving
Yeah,
slow.
he sucks in combat. So.
Yeah,
But,
so that was
Yeah,
that,
and
that
if you got him
probably,
too fat, I'm surprised he wouldn't have a heart attack during a shootout.
Yeah.
But when that came out, it was a pretty daring, bold move to put a game predominantly of African Americans.
Yeah, I mean
know,
the protagonist and most
And
of
the
cast,
supporting cast, yeah.
Yeah, and again, that had a huge supporting cast. You had Samuel L. Jackson. You had I'm trying to think who else.
Yeah, there's a lot of actors in it.
Chris Penn, who's from Reservoir Dogs. There's that other. There's a few other actors too who are in there as well.
Yeah, I mean they were doing the big voice actors at the time. That was when.
Right.
That was kind of like when that was coming into its prime.
Voice acting in general.
Yeah, getting real actors to play roles in games.
But I will say it wasn't as big as Vice City, because Vice City you had Ray Liotta voicing the main character.
Sure.
Going forward, you had basically had a bunch of random voice actors doing it, which again isn't a huge detriment. It's just more
So
of an
I think that was probably all I played on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, sorry, Ryan. We keep getting you these big things with your introduction.
And then I would have gone on to the Xbox 360, and I did play a good amount of Gears of War, first one. Remember doing a lot of co-op with that because that was a fun game to do co-op.
Oh yeah. Now that did have multiplayer, right?
Yeah, it had competitive
Yeah.
multiplayer, and
So we're getting a remaster soon.
It had really good. It was one of the first games that had really good online co-op.
Yeah.
Halo was doing it with that, and with a campaign that's that you could do co-op online because Xbox was really big into the Xbox Live at that point. And of course the Halo games that came out on that platform were a big tentpole in that generation. And that was the generation that had Assassin's Creed.
Oh man, yeah. See,
Yep.
none of us brought that up. Yep.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That was definitely a huge. It was the Assassin's Creed generation, really.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, you pretty much saw the highest and the lowest. Well, maybe not the lowest, but definitely the highest and the rise and fall of Assassin's Creed, for better or worse.
The best rated one was the one where they actually took 2 years to develop it, or longer than a year. You know what I mean? Between 1 and 2 was like 2 years as opposed to a year. But
yeah, and then Brotherhood was a great
Brotherhood
game.
was
Even
great.
though it was a smaller scale, it was still an absolutely fantastic game.
Because they pretty much improved on everything.
Yeah.
Like, and keeping it all in one city helped in some ways.
Geez, there's so much that in that generation, it's hard to really say.
Yeah.
I mean, that was definitely my biggest generation as a gamer.
Oh yeah, same here.
Sure.
And then, there were also PC, because I've always been a little bit of a PC player, and I'm kind of leaning more towards that now. But there's always been certain games that only play good on PC.
Yeah.
I guess I should probably mention Age of Empires, because I do like strategy games. I like real-time strategy games. And that was, Age of Empires 2 specifically is a huge game that sort of defined that era of real-time strategy games. And I still go back and play that every once in a while. They re-released it in HD version on Steam.
Sure.
And you can only really play real-time strategy games on PC. You need a mouse and keyboard. They've done an okay job with a couple games on console, but you lose a lot of individual unit control, and it's just not as intuitive on a console.
Right, I was about to say that because strategy games that I play are mostly like Civilization.
So turn-based, yeah.
So I can only see that playing with a keyboard and a mouse. I can't see it. I just can't see it playing on any.
Yeah, I actually thought the Civilization version that they released on consoles played really well.
Oh, okay.
You think that style of game blends to that a little bit more because it's turn-based.
Sure.
You don't have to make super quick decisions with a bunch of units.
That's a lot to do at once. I give you guys credit, like doing those. But
yeah,
I haven't really delved into that.
Without being able to click on each individual unit and move them here and there, it's difficult to do on a console. So that I guess we could bring it up to current generation.
Well, we are about 2 years in.
Yeah, we're about 2 years in, and believe it or not, probably the number one game this generation for me has actually been Assassin's Creed 4. That was the first game I had on Xbox One, and it just, to this day, still blew my mind. Like, I remember just having the freedom to go around on the boat, and just how everything just transitioned so smoothly.
Oh yeah,
it was
beautiful.
Just like
how do Ubisoft do it?
I'm so glad they did that and reaffirmed my affinity for that franchise, because it had been kind of going downhill.
Yeah.
And I'd been kind of disappointed. And then they came up with that, and it's like, well, maybe I'll give the next one a shot. Of course, that ended up being Unity.
Did you play it yet or not?
I never played Unity. I mean,
see, I wouldn't necessarily completely go by what you hear, especially now.
Well, because, I figure why get it at launch when it's broken, where it's probably going to be bargain bin. And
that's the thing. You can get it at bargain bin price, and it's probably all patched now.
Yeah.
It's probably in the best version you're gonna shape.
Might as well
wait
and wait for them to patch it up so it's playable.
Because the one thing I heard they did in Unity, you don't really do much present day stuff. They keep it to the.
Yeah, they keep going back and forth on that, which I'm not.
Well, it's
I wish they'd just decide what they were going to do instead of going back and forth. Just say, hey, we're doing present day stuff and it's a big part of the game, or we're doing President's Day stuff and it's more like Black Flag, which was optional, but it's still kind of interesting, or completely cut it out. I wish they just choose which way they want to go with it.
Well, I feel like they feel obligated to do it because that's how it's you're technically in the Animus. So they want you to. They have to reaffirm that you're in an Animus somehow.
You don't have to. You don't have to be in an Animus.
No, I know. They could
just make really cool period piece assassination games, and it would be awesome.
Because that's kind of what muddled the entire. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I mean, after 3.
I mean, it seemed cool at first, and then I didn't feel like they really went
I don't know. I blame the fans who hated Desmond, honestly. But
Yeah, I mean, I think that it would have worked out okay if they had just
I really
maybe
think they had
did
big
a better
plans.
job with it.
They had big plans for that character.
Yeah, maybe.
More than what they did with him, because that
So
just
yeah,
felt
I mean,
rushed.
this generation,
So Black Flag launch game.
yeah, I'm just kind of going all over the place this generation. I'm trying to experience new things.
Well, you've enjoyed The Witcher, right?
Yeah, I have. I've enjoyed. I'm still trying to beat it. I want to finish The Witcher before September 1st.
Yeah, because between that and Metal Gear, that's a lot to juggle.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna mainline the story. That's what I'm gonna do, pretty much.
Well, if you're all upgraded, you can probably do that.
Well, no, the story's level based, so
Yeah.
eventually I'm gonna get to a point where I need to do side quests in order to
Progress.
level up. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to finish it up in the next, I guess, week or so. So I guess that moves me forward to what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah.
And immediately, Metal Gear Solid 5. That's definitely the first game coming out this fall that I'm looking forward to the most.
Yep.
I haven't always been a huge Metal Gear fan throughout my whole gaming career, but I've just recently really delved into the story, really got all my ducks in a row to get ready for this game, and I'm really excited about it. You can go into the whole drama with Konami and Kojima and all that, but I think
Luckily, at least that drama happened after the game was basically finished.
yeah, I think the game was pretty much finished, and
like if that had happened mid-production, it could be a whole different
yeah,
tale
it
we're
could
telling.
have definitely turned into a big issue. But Kojima's still doing, like, I follow him on Twitter. He's still out there engaging with the fans and not letting it really damper the game that's coming out, because I think a lot of people are really looking forward to it.
Oh, it's probably going to be a masterpiece, no doubt. Like, no matter what.
I mean, open world, if you played Ground Zeroes, you know that they finally made a Metal Gear game that controls really well. Because that's always been a little bit of a
You didn't
issue
like
with
Force
the game.
Control? Did you ever play Force?
It was okay. It was definitely that they progressed. They certainly got better as they went along.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wonder. I'm really curious how they're going to handle the cutscenes this time. If they're going to do what they did with 4.
Yeah,
But
I mean, we'll see. I don't know if this
with an open world game, it's going to be a
story.
whole different
Well, I think this is just what I think from what I've heard.
Yeah.
It's not really an open world per se,
Ah.
like this big open, everything's connected.
Yeah.
I think what it is you go, you have a hub, which is your mother base,
Yeah.
and then you launch missions from there, and the missions take place in big open areas, so you can approach them however you want.
It sounds very Splinter Cell-ish, actually. I don't know if you played the most recent
Not
Splinter Cell.
not really. I
Tactics.
didn't play the most.
That's pretty much what you do in that most recent
You have
one.
a big open world.
It's not like it's Metal Gear will probably be way bigger,
Yeah,
but you
I
have like a
remember-
hub, and then you go to your missions, and the actual levels fairly big.
Yeah, and I think it could be like the areas are so big that you could have multiple missions in each area and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that's how it's going to be structured. So that would
Okay.
allow them to do their storytelling after
Yeah.
certain missions and everything like that. So that's definitely the first one I'm excited for. I'm also going to check out Mad Max. That game could definitely go either way.
As long as you give it a try, man.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it looks like it's coming together pretty good.
I think it's going to be fun. I really hope so, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of got that deserty vibe, like post-apocalyptic vibe that...
Rage, you know?
Yeah, Rage. Rising
like
Rage, for better or worse.
Yeah.
And it also reminds me a little bit of Borderlands.
Yeah.
Like the aesthetic looks quite a bit like Borderlands. So, yeah, I definitely going to give that a try. And then, of course, as Sai said before me, Fallout 4. That's going to be a huge, huge thing.
Yeah.
It's
No,
gonna
I
be
know.
crazy.
It's going to be a big thing.
I think we got a pretty good year wrapping up here for video games.
Oh, yeah.
I think we have actually a very strong year wrapping up. In
Yeah.
fact, I think this could be the strongest for these next generation consoles.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
In my
it's
opinion.
it's been
Definitely.
a strong year all around, even right from the beginning.
Yeah, you got to include the indies in there, too, because they've definitely been making an impact.
Oh yeah,
Rocket League, you know.
I mean, technically, The Witcher's an indie.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah? Well, I mean,
developed and published by CD Projekt.
Yeah,
so
no, dude. The fact that
there's no
that
main
game was
publisher
made
to
by
it.
only 200 people.
But at the same time, one of my best experiences this year was with Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yep.
I think that's not only just an amazing platformer, but a great game in the style of Metroidvania, where you're getting new abilities to unlock different parts of the area.
Yep.
And it's also absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it's
I've seen
hand-drawn
some of it.
art, and I'm just glad that they can.
That can
you
exist.
can have something so beautiful.
Yeah.
And have it play so well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it seems like
it's one or the other.
Yeah, sometimes it does. Sometimes it seems like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes it comes together, and sometimes it's just like, this looks really nice, but there's not a whole lot to do in it.
Yep.
So I'm glad that came out. And
these guys that are making these like great games now, you keep an eye on them. Yeah. Because they're going to be the future.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so that wraps up our gaming history segment. When we come back, Sai is going to give us his review, his opinion, his experiences playing Batman Arkham Knight.
Batman Arkham Knight.
All right, now we're back with Sai Cuddy, and he's going to give us his thoughts, his opinions, his review of Batman Arkham Knight. What do you think about it?
What did I think about it? I think it is out of the 4 Batman games that have been released for these consoles, I think it's my second best. I want to rank it in the Batmans. Right below Arkham City and right above the first Arkham and Arkham Origins. For those of you who don't know, Batman Arkham Knight takes place in where else? Gotham City during what can only be described as a catastrophic event. Without giving away spoilers, it starts off basically that the Scarecrow has formed a plan with Batman's other enemies, including the Penguin, the Riddler, Two-Face, to essentially not only wipe out the Dark Knight, but wipe out Gotham City. Basically, the Scarecrow has devised a plan, kindly, of course, warning the people that they have 24 hours to evacuate the city. This causes mass pandemonium, and basically all the bad guys and their gangs take over the city. And pops, who else? Gotham's savior, the Dark Knight, played once again exquisitely by Kevin Conroy, who I can find anyone else voicing Batman other than him.
Agreed.
Basically, how it is that Batman basically meets with Commissioner Gordon, and you're just on a mission to stop Scarecrow and all of his hoodlums and regain normality back in Gotham City. Along the way, Batman then comes across a new foe that goes by the name of Arkham Knight, who essentially was hired by Scarecrow and brings just short of a small army to Gotham City in order to take out Batman. And again, it's implied that without giving much away, it is implied that the Arkham Knight has a grudge against Batman, and he not only wants to defeat Batman, but he wants to kill him and humiliate him in the worst possible way. What can I say about Gotham that got me? First, it's the story. I mean, again, the story and the cast of characters, once again, brilliantly told. I mean, Kevin Conroy does a great voice acting job as Batman. You have John Noble, who's of Fringe fame, is great as the Scarecrow, and many people saying he does award-worthy work. Commissioner Gordon is voiced by Jonathan Banks, who many of you might know as Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And of course, we get Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, who voices a character which we all know and love as one of Batman's best and most famous adversaries. The storyline definitely keeps you intact because, again, it's just this chaotic story where you need to save Gotham. You just not only have to defeat the Scarecrow, you have to stop Batman's other cohorts from whether they're robbing banks, causing all sorts of mayhem, but you also have to save the few civilians left, mostly police and fire departments, stop blockades, and it's just a very gripping story based on that. And I enjoyed it fully. I mean, there were a few surprising twists from Batman and his allies. In fact, there's some major twists at the end, which I have not seen. And again, to give you a backstory, I'm a huge fan of the Batman movies and the cartoon series, and I've also read some of the graphic novels. Duel mode is one of my favorites. You get to basically in a few missions, primarily side missions, team up with Robin, Nightwing, and even Catwoman herself when defeating bad guys. This added a new, fresh element to the standard fighting when you have to take on a gang of characters. But I thought it added a much-needed element that definitely made it surpass it. And the side missions, many of them are fun. I mean, you get to explore and put Batman's detective mode to use when whether he's searching for a serial killer, he's finding an heir to his possible successor, saving firefighters, and just stopping the Arkham Knight's army from blockading the city. What I will say is, and I've read a few reviews and I actually agree with this, is that when it comes to new ideas, new fresh ideas, is that the Arkham series is starting to grow a little stale. I mean, the newest feature many of you may know is the Batmobile, which is good, but I find it very overplayed and overused. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, but when you use it for, you use it for at least half of the game time that you play it, if not more, I would say that gets rather tiresome. I mean, again, a lot of it did feel rudimentary with the certain gameplay aspects, which, I mean, isn't a bad thing, but it does leave you wanting more, essentially. I will also add that I did figure out the identity of the Arkham Knight rather early. Whether or not that has anything to do with my knowledge of Batman, his sidekicks, his enemies, and even just random individuals who were introduced in the world of Batman, could be a possibility. But it didn't really shock me. But I wouldn't say it really added a huge dent to the game per se, because there still were more twists and turns in the story that I liked. I will also add that the Riddler trophies that you apparently need to complete the entire game are excessive once again. There are well over 200 of them scattered throughout the city, which, by the way, is, about 3 to 5 times larger than the other previous Batman Arkham maps? That's a lot of trophies, and not just in land, underground, in air. I mean, honestly, I really didn't think you needed to get all those trophies, or I didn't find it necessary to get all those trophies just to see the entire game and win the entire story. But unfortunately, that happens, and of course, and Ryan's going to agree with me fully on this, the PC version, from my understanding, buy it on PS4, by the way, people, was a disaster of biblical proportions, and it was completely uncalled for. I mean, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, when a game comes out, have you ever heard of a game that ever came out with this many problems?
Well, I mean, a lot of games have come out that have had problems, unfortunately.
But on this scale, but on this scale,
this particular one had a lot of response to it, and I think that's one of the problems that has kind of gotten publishers into a comfort zone, is that the negative backlash hasn't been nearly as powerful as it has been with this particular game. Yeah. Like, it has a 44% rating on Steam, which is pretty much death. I mean, it's not even, they took it down off of Steam. I feel like a lot of games, especially recently, have had issues. Like Assassin's Creed Unity certainly was launched in a broken state.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. And I can give you a whole criticism on that, not just with the glitches.
The Master Chief Collection also had quite a few issues, and I think when Arkham Knight came out, that was kind of the breaking point. Is consumers finally decided that we're not going to let this happen anymore. We're going to use our voices and say, no, this isn't right. You can't keep doing this.
Do you really think that though that was the you think that was the main reason, like that was the tipping point, or do you think another reason was it's Batman, it's more universally well known. I mean,
sure,
it has a much bigger appeal.
Of course, that has a lot to do with it. It was a huge
because
game.
that was my thing, but
on the other hand, you had Assassin's Creed, which is a huge franchise.
Yeah.
And you had Halo, which is
another huge one.
Huge franchise.
Oh, no. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, though, when it comes to Batman, I find that on a whole other echelon than just the Assassin's Creed and Halo. And again, I could give you a whole list of what I didn't like about Unity, but we don't have time for that. And
sure. So that's what I think contributed to most of the backlash. Is like it wasn't any. I mean, sure, there were a lot of people that couldn't play it, but there were a lot of situations where people could play it, but the performance was just awful.
Right, and I mean, this is like beyond lackadaisical. I mean, you could have, in my mind, you could have easily had a bunch of testers play the game throughout and then just point out what issues are wrong with it and how to correct
well, that's
it.
what happened.
From what I read, they had a small team, inexperienced team, go in and port the PC version.
Yeah, so
they put, they developed it primarily on the PS4 and then ported it to the other.
A lot of this stuff is, could be true, could be not. There's no official record of all of that stuff that's been released, but it's just an issue. It's just a situation where I feel Warner Brothers probably thought they were going to get away with it.
Right, and again, but again, you feel like this is Batman. This is basically one of the top, I don't know how to explain it, one of the top symbols of Warner Brothers. When you think of Warner Brothers, you automatically think Batman. On their part, it's an inexcusable error. Like, they never should have done that.
Yeah, sure,
they should have taken better care, and whoever did that should be ashamed of themselves.
But at the same time, like Ryan said, though, it's probably, in some ways, maybe it's a blessing that it happened because of the public outcry.
Yeah, I mean,
developers aren't going to
it's a double-edged sword because now...
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, I think there's now a precedent for a game being taken off sale. There's a precedent for a huge amount of outcry. Like, I mean, people complained about Unity, but you didn't see Ubisoft taking it down.
No.
Like, not selling it or anything like that.
Yeah, see, that's unheard of, like, going that far,
they totally took it down. And I feel like how quickly that happened, it seems like they knew it was going to be that way.
Yeah.
They knew that they were shipping a broken product, and reacting that quickly to just take it down off of Steam. They were like, well, maybe we could get away with this.
Yeah, because like they were already getting 90 whatever on Metacritic with just the consoles alone.
Yeah, and that's...
I don't know, I think they were hoping to balance it out. Yeah, maybe not many people will buy it on PC. Like, so much to speculate on, but at the end of the day, you PC guys got screwed. So,
yep.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you that the developer sure learned his lesson when it came down to it.
You can just tell right by our show here. You got Sai who had like a full great experience, and you're still waiting for yours.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that patch. So one thing I wanted to talk about, Sai, was the Riddler trophies. Now you criticized it. Mm-hmm. Do you think that it was a bad move for them to put story elements behind collecting those Riddler trophies?
Honestly, I did, because I thought that I generally don't think... I mean, I can understand why they did it, but I didn't feel it was necessary, and I think it was just excessive that they did that just so that other gamers, could go back and just spend more time on the game playing it. But you have to understand, when you have a multitude of puzzles just to get those trophies, and a lot of those times you have to have a different skill set or an upgraded skill set and then go back to them. I mean, again, I can only see the hardcore fans doing it. And again, when someone like me who does like story-driven elements, I want to see the whole thing through. I want to see the full story and I want to get the full Monty, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely on your side. I don't think collectibles, especially egregious collectibles, should prevent you from seeing the whole story.
Yeah.
I think collectibles are great, and if people want to collect things in games, because I know a lot of people do,
it should be a choice, though.
Yeah, it should be a choice. It shouldn't be tied. Personally, I don't think it should be tied to.
But give it a choice, but also give you a good incentive to do it. Find that balance.
Yeah, well, I feel like for a lot of those people that the incentive is to get that 100% achievement or that platinum trophy or whatever it may be.
Exactly. But I do want to just bring up to you guys, I read recently, I think they cut the trophies in half from Arkham City. I read that there's 400 something in Arkham City.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? And how many are there in Arkham Knight?
200.
Oh, really?
No, I think it's like 243. I may have that number wrong, but I mean, still, you have a map that is...
I agree. They have a lot bigger map in Arkham Knight.
Excessively bigger than Arkham...
But look how much easier you can travel around in Arkham Knight as opposed to City. That's all you can get around a lot quicker because of the Batmobile.
Well, not only that, they've improved Batman's gliding features as well.
Sure.
And I would still agree with that. But
they definitely makes it feel good to get around that city.
Yeah.
It does make you feel good to get around that city, and you needed the improved elements because unlike Arkham City, where that was a contained prison, this is the whole Gotham. This is all in Gotham.
Yeah, no, it's such a polarizing game because I've also played it myself at a friend's house and I've watched some gameplay and stuff because they really they captured that whole Gotham City look and vibe and and even the Batmobile being an extension of Batman, what they wanted, they nailed it. It's
for what little I have played on the PC, because it does run on my computer.
Yeah.
It doesn't run well, but I was able to play a little bit of it. I really want to play that game.
Yeah.
I want to experience it.
One thing
running well and experience it, as a story. But and then on the other hand, I'm never going to be able to really enjoy it because it's always going to have the stigma of the issues I've had with it. So.
Well, hopefully that changes, and hopefully you will get the full experience. At least the patchwork will get through. And again, you'll enjoy it just for the story, or at least I believe you will.
5 years from now, I'm going to look back on my favorite games, and it's going to be like, oh, well, I had fun playing Batman, but I had to wait 6 months for it.
Right. But hey, look on the bright side, man. Patience is a virtue, so hopefully this will happen. But I would like to add one thing. When it comes to mature-rated games, this is actually one of the more tamer versions of that, a mature-rated game. And I say this because this game doesn't have any blood. The swearing is on a teen level rated. The only real reason, and not to give out too much, is that there are scenes of torture. There are scenes of people being executed, and there is one scene where you see a certain character go through a crematorium close up. But I will say, other than that, it is...
Do you think the mature rating is warranted?
I do, in the sense that, this is a really dark-natured game. And again, there are certain things that I don't think you should show to people who are 13. When you're showing scenes of torture, of people being tortured, I don't think that's appropriate. Well, I certainly wouldn't let my 13-year-old.
To me, it seems
now, if he was 15, I would say if it's for 15 and 16-year-olds, I would be okay with it. But because again, like I said, there really isn't any blood or gore. There's no dismemberment, but again, it is a rather dark element, and you don't want kids to see this.
I think they painted that universe in probably one of the darkest lights that has been painted yet. Probably on par with the Nolan. I think
the mature rating had a lot to do with the thematic elements of it, not necessarily actual violence. Or
I agree, and that's why, because you don't want children playing this game because it's too intense for them. And to do that, I think they... And again, they didn't want to cut out anything from the story, which I applaud them for.
I do that, by the way, because they know they might have sacrificed some sales by doing that.
They in order to get a teen rating, they could have cut some stuff. Sure. So, does anybody have anything else to say about Batman?
All I will say is this: na 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 na, Batman
All right.
versus Gatman.
Sai Cuddy.
So,
Sai, do you think that it was a fitting end to the Arkham trilogy from Rocksteady? Do you think Rocksteady achieved their goal that they were setting out to do?
I think it is. I mean, now again, I've seen the whole ending. I know how it all ends. And I'm kind of sad to see this world go. But at the same time, it's better to have that than have the last game be an inferior product and you not wanting any more and you just being done with the story. But with that said, I mean, I think they got what they wanted out of it. I think they finished it on a marvelous level, and I don't see really any other way they could have continued it.
They did do I thought they did a pretty good job of painting Gotham being legit at war, in a sense, because of the whole Arkham Knight drones and all that. So I can give them a little slack for that, but at the same time, evacuating Gotham every game, just,
Well, I mean that only happened in this game, but I don't think they would have gone with just evacuating Gotham in every game. And I think they could have continued. Maybe they could have continued in another city. I hate to say it. I don't believe that could happen because I think they want to keep it in Gotham because of the Arkham.
I think Rocksteady is going to move on to hopefully something original from their own, creative geniuses, because they obviously are great developers. So
yeah, they definitely have a lot of talent there, and looking forward to see what they do next.
I wanted to say something real quick that I watched this pretty good critique of the game, and you made a good point that they streamlined a lot of things. They did make it more user friendly and easier. Mm-hmm. Like silent takedowns, you can be
absolutely,
2 feet away from the dudes, and Batman will jump over and get them.
I agree.
When he's doing his fighting sequences, now he's literally jumping there to there to there, he's jumping all over the place. He's not really human anymore.
And you can take out 3 to 5 characters. The fear takedowns, yeah. I love that.
I did experience that when I played it, and I was like, wow, this seems pretty overpowered.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Because you could do that same kind of thing in Arkham City. You just needed to have skill to do it. Now you don't really need the skill as much as you used to, but at the same time, they brought in some foes to fight that are a lot more challenging than. So sure. I mean, it's give and take.
So, as the PC version gets patched, when it gets patched, I'll update.
We'll get your
my
reaction.
Experience. Hopefully, it goes positive.
All right.
Yeah, because you have a big agenda, Ryan. You got to finish this Witcher. You got to get Batman all before.
Yeah, I mean,
Metal Gear.
I'm not gonna get Batman in before Metal Gear. That's for sure. I'll
unless they pull a rabbit out of their hat.
Well, if you stay straight to the story, you could probably finish it fairly quickly.
Well, I don't really want to do that though. I want to experience it how I usually experience those kinds of games. So I'll give it its go when I have the time, basically.
And if I may make one request, we definitely need to do a spoiler episode where we discuss this in more detail. Yeah. And again, we'll obviously have the warnings, but I think that this is one of the few games, or hopefully one of many games, I want to say, where we should have one of those conversations, because I feel this is a game worth talking about.
There's a few games from this year even I'd like to do that with.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
sure.
Maybe I don't know about Fallout. Maybe we could do, because I don't know if that's possible. Because if we're playing for 400 hours straight just to see everything, we're not going to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, well, you guys can give your first impressions when we get to it and stuff. And hell, I might have a new gen console by then. So
I may actually take the day off from work just to play the whole thing first.
I kind of want to do something like that with Metal Gear 2.
Okay.
Kind of get the story out there, whether it be just to get people ready for the Phantom Pain.
Yeah, definitely.
Or
no, we got a lot of people in the group pumped about Metal Gear. So
yeah, and anything like that will definitely be tagged as spoiler. So if you don't want to listen to it, you shouldn't have to.
And I may even I'm probably actually even play Metal Gear just because you guys are really pumped for it, and I may want to actually find out what I've been missing.
Cool.
No, like I said, man, that HD collection, even on the PS3 or 360.
Yeah,
it's a great deal right now.
If you want to get the entire experience, look for the Legacy Collection on PlayStation 3.
Okay.
If you buy it new, you get a download code for the original Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Because that's what the HD collection's missing, is the first one.
Yeah, and I think somewhere along the way you can even play the first 2 Metal Gears.
I think that's on that collection. Yeah, you can, like the NES ones that we were talking about.
Yeah. And then it has everything else too. It has, I think it has Portable Ops.
Yeah.
It has Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid 4, Peace Walker.
Yeah.
And, it's just a really good package. That's definitely worth it. I think you could probably pick up a used copy somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But if you do get the used copy, you may not get the code to download Metal Gear Solid.
Well, that's the kind of thing I'd prefer to get new. I like to try to support the developers when I can.
Yeah, I actually recently... So the original printing of that game came with a limited edition art book.
Yep.
I was actually able to find that on eBay.
Oh, nice.
And get that collection, so it's a pretty good thing to have.
It's pretty awesome.
So I think that's going to wrap up our first episode. If you want to send comments, questions, anything, feedback, you can send it to the email you see in the post below. And hopefully we'll be back real soon.
All right. No.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the platform. Thank you, Stephanie. We love you.
Ladies, leave your numbers. Fellas, leave town.